Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Coffee with Katie. This week is going to be a little bit different because I'm actually going to be interviewing a friend. I'm going to be doing this more often, and I think it will be greatly beneficial to my audience to bring in outside experts that have knowledge in different areas. So today I'm interviewing Kim Fischer, and she is the owner of 13 Emeralds Marketing. And she specializes in local SEO. So we're going to hear a bit about her background, the difference between traditional SEO and local SEO, and the things that you can do to start leveling up your business SEO. All right, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel and hit the thumbs up if this was helpful. Helpful? All right, let's hop into it. Hi, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for inviting me.
It's going to be so fun. It'll be my pleasure.
It'll be exciting. I'm excited, so I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful. So, you recently moved back from the UK. Could you
Yeah.
share a little bit of your story, like how you ended up there and why you moved back and what you're doing now?
Yeah, of course. So I grew up in Washington, a bit north of Seattle, and one of my friends was going to college in the UK, or she's going in Scotland, still the UK, but and I was like, that sounds so cool. So that's where I ended up, but in England. I went to the University of Reading, and then I was in Italy for a year, and then I went back to college in Portsmouth, and that's where I graduated. And so I got my bachelor's degree in linguistics and then my master's degree in digital marketing. And so that brings us up to about 2019, and I finished my degree, and I was staying there for a while, and then 2020 happened, and like everyone, the world changed, the world shut down, and if I was told to come back by the U.S. government in threat of closing the borders. And so my family had moved down to Texas, and so that's where I am now. But at the beginning of 2020, I decided to start a business as a digital marketing company agency. I'm still not entirely sure what to call it. And I decided to go with local SEO because it's something that I think so many businesses don't understand, and at no fault of their own. It's like this industry that's behind these locked gates because it's this tech world part of marketing, and so many people don't understand it, and these SEO experts make it sound like something that's beyond anybody's capabilities except their own.
Yeah,
And
for
so I wanted
sure.
to kind of bridge that gap, and so now I'm teaching businesses how to do their own local SEO at a small business level so they can compete with other businesses at their own level. So
Nice. So, what? I didn't realize that you got a bachelor's degree in linguistics. I think that's super cool. I love
yeah,
language. Language is so
yeah,
cool.
I
What made
loved it.
you,
Yeah.
like, how did you make the switch to digital marketing?
Well, so I graduated in linguistics and realized there's very few jobs in linguistics. You can be an English teacher like as a foreign language, which I thought would be really cool. But then one of my classes we talked about like changing language, and like we kind of talked about switching code, which is a little different. But switching your language depending on who you're talking to, and so that was kind of my like little tiny glimpse into marketing. So changing your language depending on who you're talking to and who your audience is. But my brain is not creative enough to be like a copywriter. Like I don't think that way. And so I decided SEO would be the way to go because it kind of uses language in terms of like keywords, but making it readable, right? Instead of just a bunch of random words to try and rank on Google. So that was kind of my bridge. It's a little awkward, but that was my bridge into marketing.
That's really cool, though. Hmm. Yeah. In college, I was very interested in linguistics and I almost changed my major to linguistics.
Oh, wow.
Well, maybe I need to slow it down. You know, like, I'm very invested in what I'm learning right now. I should stop. But I still like, you know, it's so important. And the fact that you've like figured out a way to still use your skills with that degree in what you're doing now is really cool.
Yeah, like it's a very minor use of linguistics, but it's there.
It's still there. And why did you decide to focus on local SEO? But what's the difference between local SEO and traditional SEO?
Yeah, so this is something a lot of people don't know. And again, no fault of their own because no one explains it very well unless you truly go looking for it, right? But organic SEO or traditional SEO is going to be for businesses who don't care about where their audience comes from, where their leads come from. Like if you live in Seattle, but you don't care if you get leads from Miami or Dubai or, wherever. So you're trying to rank nationally or even globally. Whereas local SEO, you're using keywords that involve your region, your city, your neighborhood, depending on how close you need your clients
Cool.
and to get those clients from nearby. So it's going to be people like hairdressers or plumbers, because plumbers aren't going to travel to Miami from Seattle to get clients, hopefully. And so that helps you get people within a certain range of you. Normally it's a city, but like I've helped clients here in Dallas, so you get people in the DFW, the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Oh, that's cool. So would you say that that's mainly using like Google My Business and setting that up?
Local SEO, Google My Business accounts for, I think it's 33% of the signals that your business sends to Google for ranking on Google Maps, not necessarily like the search. So if you search for like, say, a hairdresser near me, you're going to get a little map with like an ad for a business and then 3 organic search results. And those people, that's how you use Google My Business to rank on Google, is to get on those Google Maps. And so it counts for a lot of it. It's really important.
And a lot of people don't have it, especially small businesses. So because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even have that because I didn't realize that you could put like a range around your area instead of saying like I'm located right here. Because I
Yeah.
don't have like a place for people to come see me. I normally go see clients if I have to meet with them.
Yeah. But yeah, anybody can have one. You don't have to be a local business to use it because it helps. So say I'm not a local business. I can work with anybody that we can understand each other. And so I have one. So if you were to Google my business, 13 Emeralds Marketing, I would have, it's basically like a little mini website on the side of Google that can answer people's questions. It can see who you are, what services you offer without even having to click to your website. So it's a nice thing to have, even if you don't need local clients.
Okay. And that will help you boost in the rankings regardless of saying, so if you said like a hairdresser near me, that would still help them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, because it'll show. So for it to show up on the side, they would need to search either your business or something very similar to your business, like the whole name. But if you're a local business, like a hairdresser, and having a Google My Business page and having it optimized correctly with all the information and the right keywords, which is a big thing,
Mhm.
it will help you move up those rankings along with a lot of other signals. Like even reviews, getting more reviews helps you go up the rankings because Google sees that people like your business, assuming you're getting good reviews, and it will push you up the ranking because more people like your business, right? So they're like, oh, well, we've got to show people this business because people are enjoying or liking their business.
Oh, that's really awesome. And that's like a pretty easy thing. You can ask previous clients to sit and review your business.
Yeah.
So where
So a
does
lot of things people don't think about is that people don't ask for reviews. I've noticed so much. They're like, how do I get them? I'm like, well, do you ask? And they're like, oh, well, no. And so that's why I always tell people, you just have to ask. Not everybody will give you a review, but the more you ask, the more likely you are to get one. So.
yeah, and you'll get more comfortable asking because it does feel kind of weird. Like, hey,
Do you mind?
we did, like I might have helped you with something. Hopefully you give me a good review. Yeah. So with more practice, it definitely gets easier.
Definitely.
So where does like the 66%, the rest of that come from with the local
It comes from quite a few different things. So if we're talking about just ranking on Google Maps, because that's where that 33% comes into. It comes from reviews as part of it. I can't remember exactly all the percentages, but reviews is a big one.
Mhm.
Like I said, because it shows that people like you, and so Google's going to push up businesses that people like. And then there's something called citations, which is when your business info is posted on directories online. So that's when you're posted on Google My Business, Facebook, Foursquare, Yelp, those are all citations. And so it's your name, your business name, your address, your phone number, and then sometimes your website. But when you link your website, that's also called link building. So those two together is a pretty big chunk of the signals. And so the more you're listed, the more Google recognizes you as a legitimate business, the more places you're listed. And so like if you do like an interview like this and you were to type it out, transcribe it and you were to link me on your website, that would be a link for me. And if I did it to you, that would be a link for you. And that increases your credibility on Google. And so Google will also push you up the rankings for that. So I would say the big ones are going to be Google My Business, citations and link building, reputation management, which is your reviews, and then your on-site SEO is going to be your big one.
Yes. So if you're optimizing your website for local SEO, what kind of tips would you have for people that are just getting started, like the basics of what they should have?
Make sure your address is on your website, on every page on your website. It can be down in the footer, but make sure that address is in there, because Google does a thing called it spiders your website, and so it crawls your website for information, and it wants to see your address and your phone number and of course your business name, but most people have that. So your address and your phone number are going to be the big ones, because it wants to know where you are so that it can push you to people local to you. And then if you can include your location in at least your H2, so you're heading 2 or you're heading 1 on every page. So for example, if I had worked with a hairstylist here in Dallas, it would say, on the big thing, it'd be like your #1 hair salon in Dallas, right? Something, it doesn't have to be that, it can be anything, but include that city name or your region, wherever you're wanting to get clients, include that in your big heading tags. So your H1 or your H2.
Nice. I never thought of that. That's really cool. And people like knowing to use the H1 and the H2 and the H3 headers is very important.
Yeah.
And it's like a simple thing that you can get started with.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to put your big keywords in your location, which can be your keyword, one of your keywords anyway, like a sub one. So you got your big one, which would be like hair salon, for example, for your first page. And then like your sub keyword would be your city name or your region.
Okay. So then when you have those keywords on the page, if you're using a plugin like Yoast, which one would you pick to optimize the page for, especially with the free version? So I know with that one, you can only pick one.
Yeah. I use Yoast. I would just say if you're a local business, just make sure to put your city name in there as well. Yoast is my favorite because it gives you a little smiley face if you're doing well, a nice little addition. It's like, oh, I'm doing well. But it gives you all the tips you need, and it updates when Google updates. So if Google decides that your page description needs to be shorter, it'll let you know and, give you a frowny face so that to shorten your description. And that's why I like that one. It always updates.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know that either. I love Yoast too, and it lists out everything that you could possibly need to make your page better. Do you follow everything to a T, or do you think, because that was something that I found to be difficult. It's like you need to have your keyword this many times on your page. It's like, but does it sound like I'm just plugging the keyword or inauthentic?
Yeah. So yes and no. It depends on the page. Because there's been times where I'm like, it just comes up, the keyword comes up naturally. Like if you've got a long blog post, right? And so sometimes your keyword will show up multiple times because, it's just naturally, it's 1,000 words and it's going to come up more than 3 times. But so I find to take it, you kind of listen to yourself and your gut. And so if it feels like you're using that word too much, don't use it, because people won't stay on the page if it's unreadable. And then that's going to be a detriment to your SEO far more than not using the word enough. If people are leaving your page after 30 seconds because they're like, this person is just saying, web designer 60 million times in like 100 words. And so they'll leave the page, and then Google will be like, oh, well, people don't like this website. I'm not going to promote it anymore. I'm not going to boost it up the rankings anymore because people aren't enjoying it.
Okay. Mm, that's interesting. That's good. So writing more so like authentically for yourself, as long as you'll mention the right keywords because you're writing about that content anyways.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So do you have a suggestion for like a particular platform that would be best to get started with SEO? There's a lot of people like with like Wix or Weebly or Squarespace, WordPress, all of them are different in terms
Yeah.
of what they offer.
If you're really wanting to do SEO, I always recommend WordPress. But it also depends on your skill level in terms of understanding the back end of WordPress, because it's definitely the least user friendly out of all of the ones I've used. So WordPress, Squarespace, and Wix, those are the only three I've used. I've never seen the back end of any of the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
But WordPress is definitely the least user friendly, but it's the best for SEO. But with a website builder like Divi that I know you use and you're going to be teaching people how to use, that's a good one. I use Elementor personally, but it's very similar to Divi. It's a page builder that makes it more user friendly. So if you can learn WordPress, that would be the one I would go for sure.
Cool. Thank you. As I know, the WordPress dashboard is confusing, and that's what stops people is they get very overwhelmed. And like I know that Squarespace has some SEO integrated into it, but it's not as extensive as what's offered in WordPress. As I'm helping someone right now with their Squarespace website, I'm like, like you really have to be comfortable with the platform and enjoy working in it. If you're not liking it and then you don't actually get the things done, like I told her, it's like if you hate WordPress, you've been doing this for months and it's been really stressful, like you're not doing what you want to do. Like if you like Squarespace more, go there. It's okay. And you're at least getting started.
Yeah, wherever you're going to get the work done, that's where you need to be. But if you're asking, what's the best platform, I would always say WordPress. I always say WordPress when people ask me the best platform. So,
well, cool. Thank you. Yeah. It's interesting. It's cool to see all of the different options, but that's very overwhelming.
Squarespace and Wix make really pretty websites. I would say easier than WordPress. For someone who has like no knowledge of web design, I think Squarespace and Wix make a prettier website easier.
Mm-hmm.
But not that it can't be done in WordPress. It's obviously done all the time. And then Wix and Squarespace actually aren't. Because it's not as like, what's the word, customizable as WordPress, you can't get rid of a lot of the back end stuff. And so this is where the more complicated part of SEO comes in when you're trying to speed up your website. Mm-hmm. And so when you're trying to work with like the coding, which isn't necessary for beginners, I don't want to scare anybody off with the word coding. I don't personally know how to code, but you can speed up your website with WordPress by like using some plugins that will like condense a lot of the JavaScript and all of that. Where Squarespace and Wix you can't. So you can only speed up your website so much by what you've added, but you can't take away any of their own like coding or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely very hard to do custom work unless you have like the developer platform with Squarespace, and it's challenging. Yes. And so what would you say an ideal page speed would be for like good SEO?
As quick as possible. There's not really like a certain number. Most people say under 3 seconds is fine, but if you can get it under, I think it's 1.5, that's the best. But obviously, like if you're a photographer, right, you're going to have a lot of pictures on that first page. Your page probably isn't going to load that fast. Mm-hmm. Simply because you want to have these beautiful high-res pictures. Because if someone goes to your website as a photographer and they see all these blurry, not high-quality images, they're going to assume that's what your work looks like. and you don't want that because you're not going to get clients that way. No. And so it all depends on the business you run. For me, I mean, as long as the pictures are clear, it doesn't really matter that much. But for someone like a photographer, it matters a lot different. But you do have to remember that we're becoming a mobile first industry, like in terms of being an online business or a business who shows up online at least. And so you have to make sure that your website is optimized for like a mobile, so a cell phone or a tablet. Otherwise, people are not going to want to stay on their phone to get to your business. And that becomes a huge problem. People will close out and never click on your business again because your page isn't loading or not loading fast enough, or it looks funny on the phone and hard to navigate, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's totally true, because I don't know what the percentage is anymore, but it's over 50% people are looking at websites on their phone, so it has to be mobile friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something like 70% now people are looking on their phone first.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Exactly.
When you work with someone, do you take a look at like the whole picture? So like their presence on Google, how their website is set up, and then do you give them the things that they have to change, or do you go in and change it for them?
So it depends on the service we're doing with their business. I have a couple different services right now. So I have one where it's like a done for you service. So I do it for them, and then I tend to teach them how to maintain it. And so that's much easier than setting it up themselves. And then I have a do it with you. So I kind of show them what's going on with their online presence and then tell them the steps they need to do. And then I'm always there for them for questions. I don't just tell them what to do and, kick them out of the nest or anything. I'm there for them for like 6 weeks. And then in February, I'll be launching a course. And it'll be all about teaching you how to do it yourself in more of a group setting than a one-on-one.
Nice. That's super exciting.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
You should be. It is so exciting. So my last question would be, how would you say that someone would figure out what they need to focus on for their business? So if they should focus more on the local SEO or the organic SEO, like which one they should tackle first?
I would definitely say that it depends on who you need your leads for, but if you're still not sure, then I have a quiz that you can take and you can find out whether you need organic or traditional SEO, same thing, or local SEO, or if you need to do something else first, or maybe it's not for you at all. If you have so many leads that you don't want more customers, you don't need local SEO, and you probably don't need any marketing strategy. You need a different business strategy to be able to get more customers or want more customers. But you do need a website first as well. So if you don't have a website, you need one of those first.
Yeah, thank you so much. This was very insightful and I think perfect to help. It like clears up a lot with SEO in general because it is so confusing and can seem so daunting. Started with. They're just petrified to do anything. They don't know which way to go. So really breaking it down and helping people understand like what kind of business, like what business they have and the steps they need to take to do those things is incredibly helpful.
So I'm so glad it's been helpful.
Yeah, of course. Yes, this has been so great. Thank you so much, Kim.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This has been fun.
Of course. I will link your quiz and your website in the bio, and I'll also make sure to link it when we're talking about it too in the header. So
okay.
Everyone
Great, thanks.
can go check out your website. And also, like, how can people keep in touch with you?
If you take my quiz, you'll be put on my email list. It's never spammy. It's just like an occasional letter with some tips normally, or you can follow me on Instagram at 13 Emeralds Marketing.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Thanks.